Hey guys, in my previous video, I showed you how the Black Ops 3 Zombies map Derizen was heavily inspired by a movie called Where Eagles Dare. The movie was based on a castle in Austria, and so was our map. And then our map was designed after two movie sets that they had inside of the movie. And this was really cool to see, but it doesn't stop there because there's some major stuff on Origins, just like this, that I wanted to show you. They base the entire settings of Origins, the zombies, and even one of the main Easter egg steps after a movie. People picked up on this 9 years ago when this map released, but nobody really talked about it or really made a video showing how similar it really is. So the movie that Origins is inspired by is Sucker Punch. This is a 2011 action fantasy film. The film's story is about a girl in the 1960s who attempts to escape an asylum with her inmate friends. And that's not really what inspired our map, not the storyline, it's the setting. And it says the film has a strong steampunk influence. Steampunk is a science fiction, retrofuturistic technology with the aesthetic inspired by 19th century industrial steam-powered machinery. And I'll show you how that relates to the movie and then how Origins was inspired by it. Our main character is in an asylum, and while she's there, she's having these toxic fever dreams where she imagines these like sci-fi fantasy worlds, and she's like a skilled ninja that goes in and does battle. She's on a mission to pick up certain items in each of these worlds, and one of the worlds that she goes to is called the Cathedral. This location is a World War I battleground, and it's in northern France, and it has zombies. And so is Origins. It's World War I battleground, northern France, and lots of zombies. Also, Sucker Punch came out in 2011, and Origins for Black Ops 2 didn't release until 2013, so plenty of time for them to be inspired. So now we'll go to the movie. I'll show you guys the scenes and how they compare, and right here, she's in the asylum, and she's about to go into one of her fantasies. I think she goes into 4 different worlds in the movie, and when she goes into the one that Origins is based on, it's around 11 minutes long, and it is the second fantasy location that she goes to. So in her mind, you see the scene here. She appears inside of the World War I battleground scene. She's standing at the entrance of the cathedral that's in this location. And the next scene, it does give you a good view of the church. And this cathedral in the movie was based on the real-life Notre Dame Cathedral in northern France. This cathedral is massive and quite detailed. Our little church in Origins doesn't quite compare. It does have a square steeple tower, but it's not a massive cathedral like Notre Dame. And that's okay because it's what's inside the church that matters and what matches with the movie. So in this fantasy world, the first place she goes is the cathedral. She turns around and enters it, and she sees her crew standing there, and behind them is a holy water basin. Here's another shot of it. Also notice that there's all this rubble everywhere in the church, and then this basin just sitting there unharmed. If you go over to Origins and go upstairs in the church, you can see, yeah, there's all this rubble everywhere, and then on the other side, there's a basin sitting there unharmed by all the destruction around it. And shout out to Rich Killer. I was talking to him about this, and we were going over some of the scenes, and he was like, look at the basin in the church compared to the movie, and the fact that this is the upgrade step for the 1-inch punch, Thunder Fist, Iron Fist, whatever you want to call it. It's a pretty clear Easter egg connection to this movie Sucker Punch. It's always cool to see where stuff comes from, and I guess if there are some things that are really bizarre and stand out, there's probably a reason for it and a backstory. But there's even more to this basin and the 1-inch punch that I'll show you later on, but first I need to show you some more things. In one of the scenes, you see a biplane flying by, and on top of the wing, you can see an iron cross. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe Origins Black Ops 2 is the first time we actually saw the iron cross being used. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I remember. In the next scene, they leave the cathedral, and they look up, and they see this massive dogfight scene going on in the sky with lots of biplanes and giant blimps. If you go watch this scene in the movie and see all of the things in action in the sky moving around, and then look at Origins, it looks pretty similar. Here's a shot of the blimps on Origins, and yeah, it looks very similar to the movie. This next scene is not a big deal, but they talk about going to the no man's land area of the battlefield, and we do have a no man's land on Origins, and I know these are real world things, but they used it in the movie, and maybe that's the reason why Treyarch used it in Origins. The next scene talks about how they're going to be fighting zombies, and their leader says German doctors and engineers have worked out how to return their fallen to the front lines. They're using steam power and clockworks to keep them moving. So don't feel bad about killing them because they're already dead. Then they show us what the zombies look like, and yeah, these guys do look familiar. In the opening cutscene on Origins, you see these German soldiers wearing gas masks. And yes, these may be accurate to the wartime, but again, they're using them in the movie, and I think that's why they're being used in the game. When we're actually playing, our zombies look a little more torn up. What we're seeing in the cutscene is before they turn into zombies. Yeah, they still have the gas masks on, and they're pretty gnarly looking. One thing that different about their zombies is that their zombies are powered by steam. So whenever they're shot, steam shoots out of their bodies, and it is a really cool effect. Our zombies definitely don't do that, but there are some zombies that are a little bit similar. So when you're upgrading the 1-inch punch, you have to come and pick up these tablets that have the punch symbol on them and cleanse them in the holy water basin. You have to get melee kills, and as we've already discovered, this basin is the same in the movie, and if we're getting melee kills for this punch, then it's absolutely connected. And if you look to the right of these tablets, you can see a gas mask, and to me, I know how they work. This is absolutely a clue to that movie. Then the last step to upgrade the punch, you have to go down to the bottom of Pack-a-Punch and use the punch to melee these particular zombies that have what appears to be steam coming out of them. So I think this is where we're getting the steam zombies from the movie. We're not getting them throughout the entire map. They're just being linked to this one Easter egg that's tied very closely to this movie. So for me, this explains why they look like this. Unless there's like a radio or voice line that tells us something different, I'm just gonna go with it's because of the movie. I could be wrong, but given all the other similarities, it's possible that, yeah, that's what this is. The next similarity I want to show you is this giant mech that they have in the movie. In the movie, one of the characters gets inside of it and pilots it, and that is definitely not what happens in the game. It does rocket boost into the sky and can fly around, and it has weapons on both arms, just like our Panzer on Origins, but the one thing that is most similar is what's on his backside. There's one scene where the mech turns around and is about to fire into the battlefield, and you get a really good look at the jetpack on the back of this thing. And if you look at the backside of the Panzer and his jetpack, yeah, they are very similar. One of the next scenes that stood out to me is where the lead character shoots down a biplane with just a pistol. And I don't know if obtaining one of the fire staff piece parts from one of the planes by shooting it down is fashioned after this, but if you go watch this movie, that's the first thing you're going to think about. The next similarities are where they go and jump down into the trenches and start fighting zombies there. If you go watch that fight scene, you're gonna feel like you're watching the opening cutscene to Origins. The lead character has a katana and she is slicing and dicing in these trenches. And if you compare it to the Origins cutscene, yeah, you're definitely getting the vibes whenever Takeo is doing the same thing with a katana. Then one of the other characters from the movie wields an axe, and then she throws it so hard it hits one of the zombies and they nearly do a backflip. And it's pretty similar to what Nikolai does in the cutscene. He throws an axe and you can see it flying towards the zombie, and the zombie nearly does a backflip. So yeah, probably not a coincidence. Another cool thing I came across while checking into this movie is that to promote the movie, they actually made a video game for it. It was called Sucker Punch Mech Gunner, and it was for iPad only, and it's no longer available. You played piloting the mech and you just went in blasting zombies and tried to make your way to the cathedral. So on top of Origins being heavily inspired by this movie, they also turned it into a video game. But I'm gonna have a link down in the description that's gonna allow you to watch this entire 11-minute scene. It's in 3 parts. You're definitely gonna feel like you're watching an Origins movie, but I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next video.